Hello, everyone. I am delighted to, well, I can't see you, but I know that you're there. Actually, I see the number going up. I see you streaming in. I see that participants number climbing and climbing and climbing. Welcome to everybody. Today, we are going to do an intro to the New Play Exchange. These are for people who are either really new to it or who want to sort of learn more about it. From the perspective of using it as either a reader, which we'll talk about what that means, or part of an organization. And I am Gwydion Sullivan. I am the project director of the New Play Exchange. Easiest way to think about that is I am the chief architect and evangelist for the thing. I kind of travel the country making sure that I know what the world wants it to do, and then go back home and make sure it does that stuff, and then go back out on the road and say, hey, here's what it does, so that everybody knows what the platform can do. And this presentation is part of that mission. So I want to say that I am going to dig in and dive in. Since this is recorded, anyone who misses a piece of it can come get it at a later date. I will ask you as a housekeeping note, actually, Jess was going to do this. Hi, Jess.
Hi. Hello. I'm Jess Hutchinson. I am the engagement manager at National New Play Network. Thank you for being with us today. We're really excited to be doing these webinars and getting the chance to share what we know about the product and the platform, and to hear it's Monday, y'all, and to hear your thoughts and questions. On that front, you'll notice that your microphones have all been muted, but that doesn't mean that you can't be in touch with us. There is a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. That is not only a great place to type in your questions as Gwydion goes through his presentation, but also to read the other questions of your collaborators in watching the webinar here. There's an upvote and a comment function on those in the Q&A box. So if someone asks a question that you're like, oh yeah, I want to know the answer to that too, you can upvote it. And if you have a question that is somehow related to a question that's already in the chat box, you can comment. So like, oh yes, that question, and also subsection of that question here. So that's how the Q&A works. If you need something from me in terms of like a technical thing is going funny that you want to let us know about, if something's going funny with the tech, the chat to all panelists is super useful for that. I'll be keeping an eye on that as well. But again, if you put your questions in the Q&A box, that's the best place for us to keep an eye on it. And like Gwydion said, we're recording this webinar and we'll be posting it for you to enjoy again later, probably later this week. And that'll be on our the NNPN YouTube channel, and we'll make sure to send an email to everybody too. And that's all you need from me. I'm going to turn it back over to Gwydion.
Okay, thank you, Jess. I am going to share my screen now for those of you who are hip to the Zoom world. What I'm going to do is walk you through a presentation about the New Play Exchange that switches from this little nifty PowerPoint to the live New Play Exchange, where we're going to take a bigger, more in-depth look, and then back to this PowerPoint for a few concluding slides. I'm going to go as slow as I can so that I can make sure not to miss anything or misspeak. I'm not going to stop as we go for questions. Yes, I just coughed into my hand. I'm going to get some hand sanitizer later. Sorry about that. I'm not sick. I'm going to go slow as I can through this thing, and then I will get to your questions at the end. But don't hesitate. If you have a question along the way, just put it, as she said, into the Q&A, and we'll get to those at the end. So the New Play Exchange, every time I talk about it, I really want to start with the basics, what it is and how we think about what it is. And the simplest way to think about it is, it's the world's largest digital library of scripts. by living writers. So people sometimes ask, well, what's new? Every play is new to somebody. So as long as the playwright is alive and has a copyright to a work, it can be part of the New Play Exchange. But it's more than just a database. In fact, it's a lot more than just a database. There's more functionality, but it's a database with a purpose. And its purpose is to serve everyone who is in any way connected to the New Play sector. Sometimes people ask, is this for writers? Is it for producers? Is it for dramaturgs? Is it for artistic directors? It's really for everyone. We worked very hard when we designed and built the thing, and in an ongoing way, to stay connected to everyone, agents, producers, publishers, designers, directors, to make sure that we understand what the needs of the field are and that the platform doesn't favor one group over another. If it doesn't work for everyone, no matter what hat or hats you wear, it doesn't work at all. We think of ourselves as a common resource, as a sort of shared resource that we all own, really that you all own. And I am just the steward to make sure that it keeps working for you as well as it can. It's also not something that we at NNPN built on our own. We had partners along the way. We built it in partnership with the Playwright Center and the Playwrights Foundation and Chicago Dramatists. So 3 playwright-driven organizations, with LMDA, Literary Managers and Dramaturgs of the Americas, still an ongoing partner of ours. And of course, we are a collection of 125-ish new play theaters around the country. So we had theaters in our heart as well. And we didn't just fund this ourselves. We have been funded from the beginning by Doris Duke, Mellon, and the NEA, and they have provided long-lasting and ongoing support for what we're doing. We're not a fly-by-night organization. At this point, we're 5 years and 3 months old, and we're not going anywhere. So let's talk about the philosophy, the raison d'etre for the New Play Exchange. For the first 125 years or whatever of there being writers and people who want their work, writers' work, there was really only one technology, and scare quotes, for connecting those two groups of people, and that was the submission process, right? Writers with new work trying desperately to get that work in front of exactly the right people who might produce it. And it became a sort of horrible, almost comedic game where writers are trying to sneak in through the back door and get their play in somebody's inbox, get it in front of people, get it in front of the right person. And theaters started to put up walls, like you need the right credentials, you have to have an agent. We're opening the submission window on Wednesday the 4th and no other day. Or we're going to make it hard for you to get in because frankly, we need work, but we're overwhelmed by this sort of onslaught. So we decided we could upgrade this technology and do something that would be better for everyone, and that's the New Play Exchange. It's basically neutral territory. It's a place where when writers are done with a script, they can go to share that script, and then it's a place where people who want to know scripts and want to know writers and learn about them can go to find out about those writers and those scripts. So it's kind of a safe place. It reduces that anxiety, that sort of one-way energy, and says, here's where we're all going to work, and we're going to make this system work for everyone. So that's the sort of basics, but people like to know data as well. What's in there? What's in the New Play Exchange? There are, at the present moment, and I updated this about an hour ago, so the number's probably a little bit higher, 33,900 scripts in the New Play Exchange by writers who live in 30 countries, at least, all 50 states, and all of it tagged and accessible and findable by a variety of means that we're going to talk about. So there's a lot in there. It keeps getting bigger. It gets bigger faster than we ever thought it would. There are plays in several different languages. It's not all English. I've seen plays in Korean. I've seen plays in Spanish. There's just, it's a world in there, and it's going up and up and up, and it's that story. So at this point, I'm going to switch over. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to share a different screen instead. Okay. All right. So what you have here is the New Play Exchange. I am logged in as Jess, who you saw earlier. Thank you, Jess, for letting us use your profile. And what I'm going to do is sort of give you a walkthrough of what the experience is to sort of better understand it in some sense. First, I'm going to go down the left side of the screen, this big area here. It says War Plays at the top. The first thing you see here, the War Plays, is a what we call our featured list. So every 2 weeks, we have a new list that does makes as an effort to sort of surface some of the depth that's in the New Play Exchange and curate it. So every 2 weeks, a different person steps forward and says, I'd like to curate a list on X or Y. And if you're interested in doing that, please reach out to me. You'll get my email address at the end of this presentation. You know, this person was, this playwright, Tiffany Antone, was interested in war plays about war, which we thought was a valid way to think about work in a collection of work. And so Tiffany did the work to find plays on that theme in our database and share them and write an introduction. This changes every 2 weeks, and it's a way of just sort of helping people discover new things and be surprised in the New Play Exchange. The next section down is the most recent 4 recommended plays in the New Play Exchange, and we're going to talk about recommendations later, but essentially these are public endorsements of plays that you think, that anyone in the New Play Exchange thinks are worthy of others' attention and possibly production. So people often ask a lot, how can I get on the homepage of the New Play Exchange? Because they know it's the most popular page on the site. You can do it right now. You just need to read a play and write a recommendation of the play, and you will be occupying this space right here at the top under recently recommended. And when 3 more come after you, you'll slowly move one at a time down to the bottom. When another one comes, you'll drop off. And you can put yourself there again by writing another New Play Exchange recommendation. Below that, what we have, I like to call the Gwydion nerd box, because, you know, I am one. And this is just interesting data points. I was thinking about the plagues, the 10 plagues. And so I saw that I could search, you do keyword searches for plays in our database that use some of those words. And I just thought it was interesting to see how many people at this time are sharing work that has to do with sort of plague terminology. And I'm going to scroll back up here and go to the right. On the right column, you see we have these 4 featured items: featured writer, play, reader, and organization. These often people ask, when do I get chosen? When do I get to be the featured writer? Well, the truth of the matter is we actually don't choose at all. These are randomly selected by our system to appear here. So there's no favoritism, there's no anything. You just get lucky one day and hopefully somebody, one of your friends will email you and say, hey, look, you're on the homepage, because it's kind of fun when that happens. So that's, you know, the general idea of the homepage dashboard when you log in is that we want you to, it's like a radio station. If when you listen to a radio station, you know the kind of music they play, but you don't know every song, right? You know some of the artists and some of the songs, but there's always a new song that catches your ear that you really want to hear. And so this is that serendipity. This is that place where you can discover new things you hadn't thought about. We have artistic directors who tell us that the New Play Exchange homepage is one of their startup screens in their browser. So every morning they sit down at their desk, they get their mug of tea or their cup of coffee, and they open their browser. And in one tab is their email, and another tab is the New York Times, and another tab is Twitter, and in the 4th tab is the New Play Exchange. So they can say, ooh, what random things am I going to discover today? So that's the best way to think about this dashboard. All right, so the first thing I'm going to show you is what your own profile looks like, okay? If you are a reader in the New Play Exchange, and again, by reader, That's our sort of catch-all term for anyone who is interested in reading plays. You could be a staff literary manager at an organization. You could be an artistic director of a small theater. You could be a dramaturg. You could be an actor. You could really be anyone interested in reading plays. You could even just be a fan of theater. We do have plenty of people who just joined because they like plays and want to read them. So this is what your profile looks like. And in some ways, it's not really all that surprising. See here at the top is your bio, so that people, when they encounter you in the system, can understand who you are and get a sense of your, what you're all about. It gives sort of background on you. They see the scripts that you have written recommendations of. I see Jess has written 15 recommendations of plays in the New Play Exchange. You could sort of get a sense of what her take is and what her approach is to assessing theater. And of course, you see her contact information, her website, her Twitter handle. Jess has also listed herself as available for freelance dramaturgy, which is terrific. This is, you're going to see later when we do go to the search field. If you are a dramaturg and you are interested in being hired for projects, you can basically just check a box on your profile, and then you will come up in searches as someone who's interested in taking on freelance work. We have playwrights who are always looking for people to collaborate with, to pay to read their scripts and give them feedback. And we have, artistic directors looking for dramaturgs in the area that they might work with on a project. So it's kind of like a little classified ad for you at the work that you might be able to do. Let's just click into the edit profile button. I'm going to show you the backside of the profile. So let me just really highlight this personal contact form button right here. If you keep that checked, that lets people email you within the New Play Exchange. If you want to stay open and stay connected to the community and get offers for work and get people who might want to reach out to you, you want to leave that checked. The one right below it is immensely important. We do emails with updates about new features maybe twice a year. It's not like we're emailing you every week with, hey, check this out. When we make significant new changes and add significant new features, that's when we email you. So you want to say yes so that you don't miss out on these, those details. Other than that, the rest of this is fairly straightforward. Your location, your demographics are important if you want to communicate them to us, but we don't use them right now for any way, shape, or form. They're just, we are trying to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to make sure that the people who are using the New Play Exchange represent the full diversity of the theater world. And incidentally, more than half of our users identify, slightly more, like 51%, identify as women. And we are, at the last time I measured, we're about 29% of our users are people of color. So we're trying to get that second number up. It's higher than the theater as a whole, but not high enough to satisfy our own mission. Okay, so let's go back to Jess's profile, and then we are going to go have a look at the search. So I wonder if people have played around with the search in the New Play Exchange, because there is a lot here. Maybe we can do a quick show of hands. Actually, I'm not sure that I can see a show of hands at this moment in time.
Yeah, we should be able to. There's a, you should have a raise hand option, friends. And then if we look over, yeah, we can look over in the attendees section of participants for folks who have.
When I'm going to stop sharing for a second so I can see that. Yes, okay.
We've got two right now. We're looking for folks who have played, who have experimented with the search function. Is that right?
Yeah, I just want to get some sense of whether it's really new for people or, but it looks like it might be really new. So, okay. Yeah. I'm going to go back to it.
a little over half.
Yeah. Okay, so we recently redid this. We did this in such a way as to make it more accessible and more easy to use for folks. Uh, you see on the right, you have all of these sort of filters that you can open up. I'm just going to open one and then close it to show you what that's like. And then, of course, the search itself is here on the left. And I'm going to do one thing. I'm just going to type the letter Q. And you will see that pretty much instantly, the search results have shown you every play in our data, every script in our database that has a Q either in the title or in the name of that script's author. So the next letter after Q is always U. That doesn't change the search results. But if I do then an A, all of a sudden they got smaller. If I do then an N, they got even smaller. If I do a T, they get even smaller, and so on. So I'm going to go back to just a Q so I can limit the results. So instantly, you're immediately interacting with the site. You're getting the results you want. And this is if you know the name of a play, you can just look it up. Or if you know the name of a writer, you can just look it up right here and go directly to what you're looking for. But if you're, really, if you're not interested in the Q, you can go immediately into these filters on the right. So I'm going to start with the second one. I'm going to go down and then come back up to the first one. You see that you can choose plays of different lengths. So if you're looking for 10-minute plays for a 10-minute play showcase, you just check that box and instantly you're seeing all the 10-minute plays on the left. If you're not sure if you want a 10-minute play or maybe something between 10 and 30 minutes, you can choose those two options and now you're seeing twice as much. You can choose plays that are appropriate for different age ranges. So let's say you're just doing one for young kids. You can check that box. If you're like, yeah, you know what, I want to go really young, you can add that one or you can switch to that one. Your results get updated immediately. You can sort by genre. If you're looking for fables or you want something experimental or something faith-based, the more I add these, the results are going to change. I'm going to take them all off. You can sort by subject matter. And this one is sort of both the most overrated and underrated feature. People who really like it. They want to find a play about a certain subject, like, I don't know, I'm just going to say Nixon. There you go. There's plays you can find about Nixon or Richard Nixon. Or they want to find plays about climate change. Climate change. So they want to find, it's a bigger subject. The easiest way to find the most popular keywords is just put your cursor in the field. These are ranked from most popular all the way down to least popular. So family is the most popular subject in the new play exchange, which I find very fascinating. It's a kind of imperfect way because one person's family play is very different than someone else's, but it's if subject matter matters to you, then there you go. You can limit your search to plays that have not yet had productions by checking that box. You can limit yourself to plays for which there are, or scripts for which there are full drafts available. So not every writer, about 90% do, but not every writer includes a full draft of their script in their search. Some are technophobic and are afraid to share their full drafts. Some are, the work is published, and so instead of sharing the full draft, they link to where it can be purchased online. But you can decide, hey, I don't want to be teased. I don't want to just see a sample. I want the whole thing or nothing. You can filter your results that way. And by the way, we get asked this a lot. No one knows if you download their script. You are browsing anonymously, as you should be able to do everywhere you go. So don't worry about yours, a playwright knowing, oh, he read my script or she read my script. Now they're going to reach out to me. It doesn't work like that. You're fine. You can also sort your results by the actors who could work in the scripts that you share. So you could say, you know what, I'm looking for a play for a cast of no more than 4. I can handle a solo show, but I can't, my budget doesn't handle, or my stage is so small, I can't handle more than 4. Instantly, you just limit the cast size, and there you go. By the way, look at the search results. You see that the first 3 plays are actually in Korea. I happen to know that writer, and he writes in Korean and in English. So there you go. The diversity of the database reveals itself right away. You can, in addition to setting a cast size, you can actually find scripts for a specific set of actors. If you have an ensemble of, let's say, you have 3 Latinx women, and you want to find shows that work for people who have at least 3 roles for Latinx women, boom, there you go. You've got an amazingly huge list of scripts to consider. If you say I've got 3 Latinx women and I've also got 1 Asian man, boom, you now have plays that have roles for 3 Latinx women and 1 Asian man. So any parameters you want to use, you can do that. And you will find an amazing amount of scripts in this database to meet your sort of acting needs. I'm just trying to delete that. There we go. So I'm going to close the actor. Narrative attributes. So we get questions a lot. Well, people said this play had a role for a woman, but she was the maid and she appeared in only 1 scene. That's not cool. We want to tell a story that centers women. So we are going to, we gave you this box that lets you choose centers female characters. And so now these are plays for which the playwrights have said, this play is truly centering the female experience. And it's not just, even if there's only 1 character, it's at the core of what the story is about. You can also, in addition, so actors and characters are not the same thing, right? So you can also say, well, I am looking for a play that features characters of a specific gender or characters of a specific ethnicity. I really want to hear the story of a, let's say, a Mexican female character, cis female character. So you can then, nothing came up in that parameter, but I think actually cis female is not a very commonly used gender identity. People are, not quite there yet. So in any event, you can find specific plays that meet specific characters as well. Lastly, you can sort by, or you can filter your search by the demographics of the playwright, by the playwright's gender, ethnic identity, sexual identity, or location. So if you're looking for writers in a specific country or a specific part of a country, you can enter those. If I could say, let's see, Spain. I could find, and then within Spain, it might let me choose, a province within Spain, although there are just a small number of playwrights who are based in Spain in our database right now. But you could find sort plays by people's, the demographics of the authors in question. And then lastly, you have the ability to, I'm going to go back up to the top, to sort your results. So by default, they're sorted by title, right? The alphabetized by title. But if you want to sort by last name, you can do that, and it will just juggle them around. If you want to sort by cast size and show, you see the smaller plays up to the larger plays. And then you can also sort by which plays have the most recommendations. In this case, it's short list, and the one with the most recommendations has 3, and it's right at the top. So you can say, gee, of all the plays that meet the criteria I've set in all of these filters, these are the ones that have had the most sort of love thrown their way by people in the New Play Exchange. Okay, next I want to show you the people search, just to give you a little bit of a tip here. If you are in the New Play Exchange and you want to find people rather than work, you can, let's say you're looking for writers, you can actually drill down really specifically and say, I'm looking for a fellow deviser. And not only do I want a divisor, I just want somebody who lives in the same place I live. So I'm going to say United States. And I'm going to say I want somebody who lives in Alaska. So now I'm looking for divisors in Alaska. Well, okay. I picked a state with a small population. Let me say New York. And there we go. These are people who I've identified as divisors who live in New York. Let me just add librettists in, and I'm going to get rid of divisors. Again, you have a list of people that you could reach out to. And then here at the bottom is this box I was talking about before. These are dramaturgs available for freelance work. So I'm going to take off that criteria. Now you see a list of dramaturgs who are ready to be partnered with on projects. Okay. That is a people search. You can also search for organizations. This one is a basic lookup. So if you want to know who's in here, you can say, gee, I wonder if the Lincoln Center, yep, the Lincoln Center is a member of the Play Exchange. Okay, basic stuff. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second. And then I'm going to tab back here. Okay, I am going to show you next the reading list feature. So as you're going through the new Play Exchange, you find a play that you like. I'm going to go back to Play Search. And I'm going to find one. I'm going to search by my own name because it's easier that way. Oh, The Butcher. And because I'm logged in as Jess, I'm going to save it to her reading list. Sorry, Jess, I just gave you more to read. And you can go to this box right up here, your library tab, and you will see that now Jess has at the top of her reading list, My Play, The Butcher. And whatever, oh, you already had plenty on here, and I didn't even realize that. So anytime she wants to read it, she can download it, and I will remove it from her list. I'm not going to give her any more work than she probably already has. Thank you, Jess.
You can leave it there.
Well, I've already
too late. Okay, I'll put it back on.
Okay. And then, so that's her reading list. I'm not going to click on the private notes button because I don't want to reveal her private thoughts about anybody's play to the world. But as you are reading a play, I'm going to go to this one. If you have a reader subscription, you can actually record your private coverage. This play is terrific. Whatever you want to say about the play, you might actually think, you know what, I'd like to workshop this play with this person. Maybe I think it has second act problems, but I want to help. Or maybe I want to make sure to stay abreast of this person's work. The important thing for you to know is this is your intellectual property as a reader of plays. This is your sort of storehouse of knowledge that you build up throughout your career. And wherever you go, when you move from job to job or project to project, you always have your private notes that you've recorded about plays to carry with you. As long as you have a new Play Exchange subscription, those are yours. And as you go build through your career, you sort of build up your knowledge base, and you can always refer back to them by visiting your library and seeing your private notes. I'm going to also show you the activity feed, which is pretty cool. You see that Jess is watching a medium-sized number of people in the new Play Exchange, and there's readers and writers in the new Play Exchange, and you might want to follow both of them, but for different reasons. If you follow a particular writer, like here's Tim Lord, anytime Tim uploads a new script to the new Play Exchange, it appears in your activity feed, so that if you want to make sure to stay abreast with what a particular writer is doing and not miss them, not miss their new developments in their career, you can do that. Similarly, if you work at a theater and you want to, there are favorite dramaturgs whose opinions you care about, whose perspectives on plays really matter to you and impress you, then you can watch them. So anytime they write another recommendation of a play, you'll see that as well. So you sort of crowdsource knowledge about plays and musicals from everyone in the new play sector. You don't have to just rely on your own knowledge. So I am going to log out of Jess to show you the next feature. I'm going to log in as someone else. Actually, I'm going to log in as, I want to show you one feature that is only available if you have an organization. So I am currently the administrator of the profile for the Welders, Playwrights Collective in DC. And as the organization administrator, I can add other administrators. So let's say I wanted to make Jess Hutchinson an administrator of the Welders profile. You see I'm just typing her name, and there she is. And I click add, and now Jess is now an administrator, which means she can update our profile, she can make any changes she wants to make, etc. I'm actually going to remove you now, Jess. You don't have to worry about that. The benefit of having an organization profile, the key benefit, you don't actually have a personal profile. You get to talk about your organization. You give the sort of bio of the organization. You can write recommendations of plays as your organization, provide your contact information. But it's this key step here that is the most important: the ability to share an opportunity with the writers in our database. So this is wildly cool. When you have an opportunity now, if you run a theater, let's say you want to do a reading series of plays about climate change by women who live in Kentucky. You can write a little post on your organization's blog or on your website. You can share it on social media. You can put it out there in various Facebook groups. You can email it to people. You can sort of tell your friends and hope it gets out there. And it's this kind of like really imperfect system in which your opportunity does not get in front of exactly the people that need it to get in front of. Instead, with the new play exchange, because what happens is writers will say, well, my mother was a woman. Does that qualify me? Or I've been to Kentucky, or I care about change, but it's not climate change. You're not a woman, you're not in Kentucky, etc. Writers will try and squeeze through any door they can get through. It's that one-way arrow that I showed you at the beginning. In the new play exchange, you can say, only share this opportunity with people who have identified as women, who have set their location to Kentucky, and who have tagged a play with the subject matter, climate change. You can really use very precise criteria to create your opportunity, and then it gets emailed to only those people, and exactly all of the people who exactly meet your criteria out of our 8,900 writers, they all see it, and anyone who doesn't meet the criteria doesn't see it. It's really takes all of the noise and turns it into signal, clear signal. So it's a fairly complicated system. We're going to work on straightening it out over the next couple of years, but it's useful. People use it all the time. You have the option to use the new play exchange tagging system, and what that means is this: if you use it, when playwrights get an email letting them know about your opportunity, they go to the website, they read your opportunity. If they think they really want you to consider their work, they click one button, and instantly their script is ready in a long list for you to download and consider. That's our tagging system. It makes everything easier for everyone. But you don't have to use it. Some people prefer to get scripts by email, to get scripts by carrier pigeon, to get scripts by whatever means they like. So we give you this option and this little checkbox here to decline to use the tagging system. We're going to leave it open. You can also, if you'd like, make your opportunity what we call blind, which is really not the best word, but it's the the word that's in common usage. And that means that you want to consider work that has no name attached to it. So writers in the New Play Exchange can upload 2 different drafts of every script, one with their name and one without any attribution at all, so that you can use this blind opportunities module to say, I just want to see the work. I don't want to know who it is until after I've chosen the work. We're not going to make this one a blind opportunity. But so I'm going to hit continue, and you'll see immediately I have climate change. I have a chance to create an opportunity, climate change scripts. We want good plays by Kentucky writers who period. Maybe I've got a website URL on my website that I want to point people to. This opportunity is currently open because I'm about to create it. And then I have 3 choices. I have the opportunity to decide when to close it. Let's say I'm going to leave it open until I find the play I want. I want to close it automatically when my submission period is over, say in a month. Or I would like to close it when I have reached 150 plays, because I know I can only read that many realistically. So I'm just going to consider the first 150, or maybe that number is 1,300. We have some that get that many. So I can pick a number. Next, I add eligibility criteria, and this screen is going to be very familiar to you. It's all of the filters that you had in the search field. Okay, every single thing that you saw there, you see here. Let's say, oh, plus this extra one. Let's say I only want to make my opportunity open to 1 script per writer, right? A lot of people say now they want to consider 1 of your plays. So that's it. In my example, excuse me, there was no length info. Climate change plays by women in Kentucky. I didn't care about ages. I didn't care about genre. I did care about subject matter keywords. So I'm going to do climate change. I see global climate change is another option, so I might add that one. Who knows? I am willing to consider work that's been produced, et cetera, et cetera. So I start filling out all of my criteria. And you see, before I hit share this opportunity, this button at the bottom, I'm not going to hit that. If I did, it would immediately email everyone with work that meets this criteria. So what I want to call your attention to is this number right here on the left. It's showing me 251 plays are eligible for my opportunity. So if I think, gee, that's not really very many, I might want to go back and look at what I have set as my criteria. So I'm going to take off this second keyword and see what happens. Ooh, slightly fewer because I had added more. What's really limiting my criteria here? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's the keyword itself. Without that, 28,520 plays are eligible for my opportunity. So keywords are the most limiting factor we have in the New Play Exchange, right? They're really the way to shrink down. But so you set the criteria you want, and then once you know you've got it right, because there's no undoing this. This is like the point of no return. Once you're ready to share your opportunity and you know that you're willing, you want 28,000 emails to be sent, you click that share your opportunity button. Again, I'm not going to do it. So at this point, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint and show you what happens after that moment. So here we are. So once you hit that button, an email like this goes out to every writer who's eligible. You see, this was one that was sent to me a while back about a call for new plays from the Unicorn Theater. And there's a link in here that I can click and see what it looks like. And it will take me directly to the New Play Exchange, show me the opportunity as you have filled out and give me the option to click the button that says tag my play, and then I'm done. It may also, if you chose not to use a tagging system, I may see your instructions for me to get my work to you, which I can follow those instructions or not. You know, I can go through with the submission or not. And there you go. So that's all the functionality I'm going to show you, but I want to walk you through a few other things. Again, people want to know a lot about exactly the subscription types we offer and how they play together. We have two levels of reader subscription. Sort of a basic one for $10 a year that's about looking up plays and finding plays. And if you're more of a theater professional and you want to maintain your, promote yourself as a dramaturg for hire and have access to that sort of depth of access, that's $12 a year. So it's a radical $2 extra a year you'd have to scrape up. We kept our prices really low because we wanted to make the new play exchange accessible to everyone, truly, and make sure that there were no barriers to entry. Because what we're about is democratizing access, not putting up barriers or being a gatekeeper. The Writer and Writer Pro subscriptions, that's a similar level of, if you're just a new writer, then the Writer subscription, $12 a year is good for you. The Writer Pro subscription at $18 a year gives you access to all the reader searches, the elaborate search and filter results. An organization subscription is a whopping $25 a year. And then I'm going to talk to you about higher education subscriptions as well. Those are the 4 different ways. We're getting ready to add another one, another 2. I'm going to talk about those as well. So what people ask again, how many writers, what kind of writers? It's 8,300, I think, at the moment. I think I updated that one as well. It's people writing in all styles, in all genres, in all stages of their career, people who write for television, people who write for the stage, people who are new, people who write for community theater, people who are emerging, people who are experienced, et cetera, et cetera. For context, people don't really understand how big a number is 8,300. There are about somewhere between 10,000 and 15,000 playwrights just in North America. Most of those 8,300 are based in North America, not all of them. There are about 8,500-ish members of the Dramatists Guild. So after 5 years, we have reached that number. We add about 100 to 150 new writers. The number goes up every month. Hard to know when that's going to stop. But that's where we are now. Readers, most of you who are listening to this presentation, again, literary managers, dramaturgs, agents, artistic directors, etc. We're just past 11,000 at 11,400 and climbing. Organizations, I think it's 819 at the moment, 8 something, 820, somewhere around there. By context, for context, there are about 2,000 theaters in the United States, maybe, that produce new plays in a given year. People often ask, well, which theaters are there? Who's in there? Who's a member of the New Play Exchange? You saw the Lincoln Center earlier. It's everyone from the Lincoln Center to small Chicago storefront theaters, to small theater collectives, to, and this is most important, the 125-ish members of the NNPN. The most committed new play producing theaters in the United States belong to the members of NNPN, and those theaters are all subscribers to the New Play Exchange. So in other words, this is the place to be. So now with our new higher education subscription, and if any of you work in higher ed, your ears should perk up at this point in time. 400,000 plus students, faculty, and staff at 50 plus colleges and universities around the country now have access to the New Play Exchange. I'm talking about Harvard and Yale and Stanford, and talking about University of Maryland, University of California, talking about University of the Arts, small art schools, smart liberal arts schools, Bates College. the number is just climbing all the time. Huge, it's just a huge increase, particularly as more and more schools are remote learning. So the way it works is that students have access via IP restrictions. So if they're accessing the internet via their campus network, they can search our database. We think of the New Play Exchange as really the only way to study, the only textbook that you need to study modern drama. It's the equivalent of the Riverside edition to the study of Shakespeare. It's the indispensable resource. It's 34,000 plays all in one place. Over the next 3 years, we're doing some amazing things, and I want to make sure that you know what those are. First of all, we're gearing up to make the New Play Exchange much friendlier for pieces of art that have multiple authors, namely, but not only musicals, which have book by, lyrics by, music by, but also devising ensembles or work that's been adapted and translated, anything that has that's been co-written. We're going to make it possible so that more than one author can sort of own any given play in the database. We are also adding a new sort of portal into the New Play Exchange for actors. So we want actors to be able to source monologues for auditions for the New Play Exchange. Right now, if you are a 40-year-old Asian man, you do not have a lot of options to find monologues for characters of your age and ethnicity. You might find a monologue book out there, but we have the ability to put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of monologues in front of you to allow you to find exactly the kinds of monologues you want, the length you want, for the kind of play you're auditioning for who you are. You could create your own sort of monologue collection so that you always have access to material with which to audition. And to enable that, we're going to add the ability to do micro payments within the website, within the New Play Exchange, so that authors can upload their monologues, and anyone looking for monologues can search them and purchase them directly from those authors. It's not about us making money. In fact, none of this is about us making money. We're a nonprofit organization. It's about facilitating the highest good for different aspects of the New Play sector. Similarly, the addition of micropayments allows us, and here's one that I really hope you like, to give dramaturgs the ability to share dramaturgy packets they've created within the New Play Exchange. So if you have worked on the world premiere of a play and you've created a dramaturgy packet to support that production, and that same play is being produced in Juneau, Alaska, or in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and they need help, but they don't have you there, they can perhaps buy access to your dramaturgy packet, we hope at a price that you get to set yourself, so that you can work in other places and not be limited to where you live. Obviously, we want to support the hiring of dramaturgs, but also the leveraging of their experience in other ways as well. And then lastly, we're gearing up to include an Organization Pro level of subscription. Basically, this will offer theaters of all sizes the ability to store the scripts they're considering in the cloud. So if I submit my work to a theater and they have via email and they now have my script and they want a place to put it, they can create a profile for my script on the New Play Exchange, sync it to my actual New Play Exchange profile if I have one, record all of the coverage of that script, anyone who reads it and comments on it, record it, every new draft that I give them, work with me and maintain a relationship with me throughout my relationship with them as an artist. So we're adding that as well. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. The next 3 years are going to be just an amazing transition as we redeploy the entire New Play Exchange on a new technology platform. And that is it. You see here on this final slide, my email address, which I hope you will write down while I leave that slide up for an extra second or two. Feel free to use that if you want to reach out to me. I'm happy to get emails. I'm happy to talk, answer your questions. If you're interested in higher education subscription, I can get you to the right people. And that is that. So I'm going to stop sharing for now and answer. I see I have one Q&A question. Is there a way to see how many total scripts come up in a search? Yes-ish, Rebecca. You can page through all the results. So basically, if you do a really broad search that has lots of pages of search results, you can count up the standard number of results on a given page, which I think is 20, and the number of pages of results, and do some math. But on the general search, that is the only way to see how many total scripts come up. And I think, unless I miss my guess, that's the only question I see. Oh, hello, Jessica. Are the search filter parameters audited by NNPN admin ever? One person's play that censors women may be offensive to another. No, they aren't. We are not, we can't possibly be responsible for filtering content. It's just not tenable for us to do that, and I don't think it's really appropriate, certainly for any one person or one small group of people to do that. However, on every play, every profile, every human's profile, every recommendation, everywhere you go in the new play exchange, you see a little flag that you can click with the word report next to it. And if you find something that you think is inoffensive or inappropriate in some way, or hate speech, we do reserve the right to, if need be, delete content that falls into that category. And you can use that report button to report it and let us know. I will say that in 5 years and 3 months and change, or 5 years and almost 4 months, I have seen less than 10 things be reported. A couple of times it was typos. A couple of times it was, a couple of times it was, just not great recommendations that were written. And one, it was very funny. Someone was clearly writing in a recommendation and they had half a sentence, and then their child must have walked into the room and mashed the keyboard and hit enter and walked away. So there was like a lot of gibberish in there, and that was funny. So we got rid of that one. But generally, no. Okay. I think that may be the end. I'm going to hold out for one other question if there is one. All right. I think that's it. Thank you, everyone, very much. I have been delighted to be here. I will be here again. And if you have any questions, you have my email address. Take care.